I want to talk about simplicity, expectations, and I guess my first knife. It's as good a background as any. The first knife I ever got, and I've actually kept over the years, it's probably 25 years ago. I was about 9 years old and I just moved to Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in Chicago. But when I was 9, we moved. This must have been like 2000, something like that. Anyways, didn't speak much Spanish, but I went to one of the convenient grocery stores out there, the Econo. And at the register, was hanging this knife. I'm pretty sure it was in a clamshell package, because I just remember it hanging there, but it's kind of fuzzy. Just remember it being there under the register. And 9-year-old me, I was like, fuck it, let me try this. So I grabbed it, slapped it on the counter with my bag of chips, because I bought those bag of chips at the time Doritos was doing those things called tazos with little Pokemon, like Pokemon caps, like this little origami, fucking, I don't know, tokens. They were cool. So I went to the Econo for a bag of chips and Pokemon memorabilia, and I was sweating at the register because I just put a knife down, and they sold it to me. It was like $6. Like, I come from Chicago. They wouldn't have sold that to me in Chicago. But it was cool because I just curious. I'd always loved knives, but let me show it to you. Truly, look at that back spring. It's always been that way. Flawed. Swelling of the handles. I don't even know what kind of wood this is, but I made it work. It's a chisel grind, and at one point I didn't like that, so I attempted to give it a dual bevel, but cooler heads prevailed over the years, and I've learned the value of a chisel grind on the appropriate type of blade. So anyways, 9-year-old me was going around the rainforest of Manatí, Puerto Rico, or the mountains over there. It's kind of like a country suburb kind of area. Got some mountain shit for sure, some rainforests. But we got nice little communities, at least in back then. So I remember climbing coconut trees, Tramontina, stainless, Brazil. I remember climbing those coconut trees and cutting them down, getting those palm leaves, and really appreciating the hawkbill. Because of just like climbing on a tree, you don't really want to sit there slicing a knife with, like, say, a drop point or something of that nature. Even a Warncliffe would be a pain in the ass. The way this actually grabs the stem, which is obviously it's a pruner. But it was good for EDC down there because I did it to do everything. It's funny because like I watch my wife watch those shows, like Naked and Afraid or some survival shows. I like them, but I just laugh because I was doing this stuff when I was like 10 years old. Just right after school, just leaving the house and getting lost. Some forest somewhere, catching iguanas, lizards, playing with different kinds of flora, like the muertos-vivos, like those plants that you touch and the leaves shrivel up when you touch them. Anyways, I've found that this steel works really fucking well. It takes a wicked edge, like ridiculous. And it's never bent or anything like the sword on me. It's never been impacted by this flaw. I didn't notice it when I bought it. I don't think I was in the mindset to care at that age. but I've put this through hell and that's never impacted me. So I'm not picky because I know it works. But like for instance, I did a video about that buck knife, that custom one, and I bitched about some of the finer details on what I felt was disappointing about that particular custom series, the buck of the month. And this is where I come from. I know this works. I know that buck knife would probably work too, but they didn't hype this knife out when I bought it. At least I don't think so, the way they did. But Buck hyped that knife, and yeah. So I still use this knife quite a bit because it's solid. There's actually no blade play side to side. Like I said, I don't know what kind of wood this is. And it's always been like that too. Kind of off. But I said it's okay because if you look at the spine, it looks pretty centered, and it is a chisel grind. A true chisel grind, like completely flat. And then concave swooping action right there. For nostalgia's sake, I've always had this in my dresser, and I've always looked at it, and I've always just thought of the fond memories I had when I was a kid. But just for shits and giggles, I looked online to see if the company was around. And Tramontina, stainless Brazil, comes up that there's a Tramontina company that makes like a lot of kitchen cutlery now. And I'm guessing that's the same company. But I like this steel, whatever the hell this was. Like, I don't think this is that cheap steel that they were giving out of like Central Asia in the 90s, like that Pakistani steel that was very wasn't heat treated. It kind of, I guess the polished look is reminiscent of that, but it's not. It was decent stainless Brazil. I don't know what kind of steel they were using, Spanish steel, but it worked and it held up. That lanyard hole has been used on and off, and just like a buck. Because I still carry the 110. But if you know the stories about people taking these and just banging them, like banging nails and shit, like I've done that with this one. I've cut open green husks on coconuts, then to get to the more strong, fibrous husks, and get a rock and get another coconut and kind of take this spike and I guess baton it on the top of a coconut, because that is, like, you know, you have a can opener, it's a coconut opener. I really like this. I'm probably going to get another hawkbill. I love birds. I'm always feeding them. I think they like me too. But I'm probably going to get another hawkbill. I still use this one, like I said, but something about the blade shape, it really works. It's a little wonky and not what's like mainstream, I suppose that word is acceptable. So whenever you take something that's not common and you introduce something completely like different, I mean, aesthetically it catches your suspicion. But I'm telling you, 9-year-old me, 10-year-old me, most of my teens, Rainforest in Puerto Rico, then back to the States. As a dad, I use this to break down cardboard in the garage. I'm gonna be an old bastard one day, and it's funny because, you know, everybody's got that garage knife. Well, it's a story of mine.